This is my first published book. It's a collection of short stories published back in 2019. And it talks to, each story speaks to a facet of Puerto Rican experience, of everyday real people, and how they live, they love, they win, they lose, they cry, they love, they laugh. And so I like to read an excerpt from one of the stories, and the story is called Isabel. Okay, Isabel was a bit wary of the tunnels on Park Avenue. She had to traverse the tunnels to get to school on time. The New Haven line ran on elevated tracks like a monstrous spine through the length of Harlem, carrying suburbanites from the comfort of their communities in Westchester and Connecticut to the comfort of their offices in Manhattan. The suburbanites were oblivious to the people who resided in the tenements and housing projects along the route, and the Harlem dwellers were oblivious to the suburbanites, aware only of the roar of the rails and the ugliness of the stone structures that supported the commuter trains. In the mornings, Isabel had two routes, one to get to school in the morning and another to get back home. In the mornings, she took a shortcut. She never wanted to be tardy because all the doors closed after the late bell, except for the door that led to the principal's office. She had practically measured the distance and time it took her to get to the side door entrance assigned to the classroom. It was on 109th Street. She lived on 112th Street, between Lexington and Park. Every school day, she would exit her building, walk a few yards to the left, cut across the schoolyard of the Catholic school to 111th Street, and walk briskly on her side of Park Avenue until she got to 109th Street. Then she crossed to the south side and faced the dark cavern of the tunnel. The blackened stones of the walls were slimy, and the acrid smell of urine assaulted her nostrils. She held her breath as she stepped over the trash and the occasional dead rat. Not very pleasant, but she always got to school early. Isabel rarely encountered anyone on the first route, but in the afternoons, the streets she chose to walk on were lively with people. Her fifth grade class dismissed on 108th Street on the Madison Avenue side. Bunches of kids walked north on Madison and would disperse around 110th Street. Isabel would make a right turn by the shoe store, peer into the store's window, and fantasize about owning pretty shoes. Then she walked to the restaurant where her father worked. He lived in a furnished room across the street from the restaurant, and Isabel stepped in to see him every day. She missed him and did not understand why he had moved to that dumb room. After giving him a kiss goodbye, she would turn left on the west side of Park Avenue and walk north. Colorful kiosks filled with garments lined the sides of the buildings, just a few blocks south of La Marqueta. One of the kiosks hung a pink ballet tutu from a dingy awning. Each afternoon, she headed to that kiosk thinking only one thing: the tutu, the delicate tulle skirt, and silver sparkles. If the tutu was still there, it meant no one had bought it yet. And her fantasy of owning it, dancing in it, and twirling in it lived in her heart for at least 1 more day. Thank you.